Hello aspirants and welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. As UPSC Mains 2025 are fast approaching, Legacy IAS Academy brings to you the UPSC Mains 2025 series, which will be made available to you absolutely free right here on our YouTube channel. So let's understand what this is all about. So as mains are approaching, we will be dealing with mains specific topics, not necessarily specific, but it can be specific also. It can be such topics which are there of course in prelims, but in mains the emphasis is a lot. So what we'll try to do is we'll try to cover those important main specific topics in this lecture, so as you can answer questions based on that. In addition to this, apart from covering the entire topics systematically, we will also be discussing the previous year questions that have come from the same topic. We will also discuss what approach should have been taken, how to write those answers, and ultimately improve your skills of answer writing as well. So this is a combo wherein you get to understand the concepts, you get the facts, the data, the things that you can write in your exam. At the same time, your answer writing skills will also be improved. So let's get started with the very first lecture, in which we are starting with Indian economy, that is GS, that comes in GS3, and the topic here is jobless growth. So let's start with this topic. So let's first trace this topic, that where this topic is coming from. So it is from GS3. Now GS3 consists of technology, economic development, biodiversity, environment, security, and disaster management. So in this, we are concerned with economic development. Now under economic development, there are a lot of sentences of syllabus which is present. In that, there is one sentence that talks about Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, and employment. So we see that growth, development is there, plus employment is also there. So jobless growth topic comes from this particular part. So the jobless growth topic specifically is not mentioned, it's not a keyword in the syllabus, but in growth, development, and employment, of course growth will come, of course unemployment, joblessness, etc. will come. So the jobless growth is a topic that is going to come from this particular part of your syllabus. I hope that is clear. So let us now directly jump into the topic. So what is jobless growth? See, you can also estimate what it will be. Jobless growth. So what is it? Is it a growth of joblessness? No. These two are separate words. One is the scenario of joblessness, the other is the situation of growth. That means what? That means that in the economy, growth is there and joblessness is also there. Now, why this topic becomes so important? Because generally what happens is when there is growth, there will be increase in the jobs. So people will start getting jobs. So joblessness should go down. So unemployment should go down. Employment should go up. But in a scenario wherein growth is there, but at the same time you are seeing joblessness or increase in unemployment or reduction in employment rate, that particular specific situation is known as jobless growth. Now you don't have to write anything right now. You will get this PDF also available. Just try to understand the concept so that you can better utilize. Now here is the definition. The situation when economy experiences growth, but unemployment remains stubbornly high. Stubbornly high means it's not going down. So it is a situation wherein joblessness is there, even though in the economy growth is also present. Now if you look at this unemployment, it hits. Now this point you have to focus much, because in mains everyone is going to write what is jobless growth, this, that, everyone is going to do statistics also. But if you can give just one better statistics or a statistics more in depth which impacts more, that is going to help your answers. So if you look at this generally talks about the unemployment that is there, right? Unemployment is high. Of course during the COVID it further had peaked. It had of course peaked in this time during the COVID, but then also it has been stubbornly high. It has not come down below 5 at all. That is why stubbornly high, it is not coming down. This unemployment rate is not coming down. So in your answers, you can mention this, but what you should also focus in over there is that if you look at the age groups, you will realize that the unemployment rate for age groups of 25 to 29 is way less than that for the younger population. So if you look at from 15 to 19 years, unemployment is the highest. But fair enough, people might be studying more and more, graduation, more and more study people are doing. But even then, even after completing the graduation, you see the unemployment rate is still high. That means what? That means the youth is suffering a lot. After some time, when you are 25, 26, 27, 8 or 29 years old, that's when unemployment rate goes down, because after a huge struggle, after a long drawn search for job or doing something or the other, or keep on studying more till you find a job, then you are able to get it. But the youth is facing a huge issue of joblessness, even though the growth is there. So this particular thing you should specifically mention in your answer. So let us look at the jobless growth. Why and how we are saying that this growth is jobless? This simple graph tells you that. So here we have employment rate in yellow and GDP growth in blue or black, sorry. So let's talk about GDP growth first. So if you look at GDP growth, this is the GDP growth. It has gone down, of course, it is again the COVID year, but again it went up. But as far as the employment rate is concerned, GDP growth is so high, employment rate is negative 0.3. It is still negative, it is negative 0.3. So it is not in sync with the GDP growth rate that is there, right? So here it's down, minus 1.2. It goes up, but 0.7 only. It goes down, and GDP has gone up, but employment rate has not been up by much. I hope that's clear. So what is happening? GDP is growing. GDP is growing at 6.8%, but employment is at a very low rate. GDP is at 6.5%, employment is very low. So that is what the situation of jobless growth is. Means the GDP is growing, the economy is growing, but the jobs are not there. This is the situation of jobless growth. So if you look at the extent of jobless growth, let us see this. So with respect to India, these facts are also very important. This is nothing to explain here, but you have to understand so that you can use it better. India experienced job growth of 3%. India experienced job growth of 3% per annum in the 70s. So this historical tracing is also important. Of course, current data you will use, but to begin your answer, to write your introduction, historical data can play a significant role to give you that amazing introduction as well. In 1970s, the job growth was 3%. Now, at that time, the economy was growing at 3.3 to 3.5%. So it is roundabout similar. 3% of growth rate in jobs and approximately 3 to 3.5% growth rate in the economy. So there is no jobless growth as such, right? Because the jobs are also growing at the similar pace. But what has happened is, over the last 3 decades, what has happened? Economy grew by 5 to 8% per annum, but our jobs grew just at 1% per annum. So now suddenly what has happened? Not suddenly, of course, it's a period of time. What has happened is the job growth has gone down, even though the economy is growing highly or by a good amount. Now, because of this, what happens is the employment elasticity has fallen from close to unity, about 0.9 in 1970s, to 0.4 in 1990s and 0.1 today. So employment elasticity has gone down. You can mention this term in your answer, that employment elasticity has gone down, right? So it is going to add value to your answer. So the question is, what is employment elasticity? It is nothing but percentage growth